welcome to our weekly webinar. Are we live? All right, I'm hoping that today, good. Welcome to our weekly webinar, everyone. We are live. I am hoping that the network is kind to us today with all the rings. All right, so we're jumping right into the crux of the matter today, and I want to start by saying, dear parents, your child's success or your child's future is not going to be shaped by their once in a while or one-off heroic deed or activity. The child's future will be shaped by the daily or the little habits and the small inputs that the child makes every day on their journey to becoming. Hello there, my name is Maribeth Chima, and I would like to welcome you to this live broadcast where we are going to be talking about why we need to build consistency or build the consistency muscle in our children, and why a great way to do this is by having the children do challenges. Why? Taking your child through a challenge, okay? And when I say a challenge now, it's like you decide we're going to be on something for 3 days, for 5 days, for 1 week, for 20 days, for 30 days, like we do in the programs that we run and in the mastermind circle. All right? So, why is it important that we begin to build our children's consistency muscles? Okay, and what are we even talking about when we talk about building consistency muscle? Now, in the 21st century, there are certain skills that, as a parent, you need to help your child build consistency in if you want to prepare the child for the world that exists today. Because what we have seen is, more often than not, we're preparing children for what does not exist. There is a need in this time that people have mastery in the things that they do. There is a need time. Sorry, I talked about this network. I hope it's kind to us. Okay, so there's a need at this time that for anything that you do, you are not guessing about it. You come with full knowledge and you come with mastery. And so, how do we arrive at mastery? How do we arrive at full knowledge of whatever it is that we are doing if we do not create consistency around it? So I'm going to be talking about 5 important areas where you need to, or we all need to, as parents, in this fast changing world, areas that we need to have our children build consistency in, not just building skills in. Okay, as we often say, your talent will take you into a room. Your talent will open doors for you. Your talent will be a springboard for you. But it is only consistency that will keep you in that room. It is only consistency that will help you move from where you are to something that is greater. So it is not enough that you have an opportunity, or it's not enough that you have found yourself in a room or on a table or wherever it is that opportunity have created for you. What is important is that you are consistent at what it is that you are doing. It is with consistency that you will build higher level skills. It is with consistency that you will gain higher knowledge. It is with consistency that you will set yourself apart, especially in a group or in a pack or in a team, right? It's kind of consistency, or trying to gain mastery is not about being comparing yourself or competing with other people. It is about being a master of whatever it is that you say that you can do. And if you want to set your child apart in the 21st century, then you need to help them build consistency in the things that they love to do, in the things that they are interested in the things that come easy for them, in their talents, and of course in and the gifts that they have. So it's not enough that you keep singing their praises for the longest and you're doing nothing about it or helping them do nothing about it. We have seen cases of children who are talented, but after a while they become obsolete simply because as parents we did not help them build on that skill or on those skills. All right, so let's look at some of these areas. Number one, and these are really very simple things, especially if you have a young child. Are you a parent of a child between 0 and 10? This class is for you. Every time you see me come on screen, just know that I am here for you if you're a parent of a child between 0 and 10. And yes, these principles can be used even for your older children. They can be applied even for older children because, now one. All right, so let's look at the basic skills, right, that you need to introduce for your toddlers, for your babies, for your school-age children, and for your preteens. And you need to stay on to help your child become consistent in this skill. Number one is the ability to plan. The ability to plan. So I run goal setting and planning sessions for children, especially at the beginning of the school year and at the end of the calendar year. So usually we'll have a goal setting and planning session somewhere in September, and then we have a vision workshop at the end of the year in December. Now, why do I do this? Because this is the time where we take in new children into our mentorship and accountability program, the Mastermind Circle. Now, because I know and I understand this group of children, because I know and I understand the importance of planning, because I know that planning is a foundational skill, just like every other skill that I'm going to be sharing this afternoon. They are foundational skills that if you want to give your child a solid foundation, then you need to introduce them to as early as possible. So because I know this, that's where we start. There is no need jumping anywhere when you have not taught a child how to do basic planning. Yes, basic planning. These are not big things, serious like that. It's just a simple thing. It's as simple as teaching your child to create a to-do list every morning they wake up. Yes, we do that in the Mastermind Circle for the children all through the year. Throughout the year, right? The first thing they do when they wake up in the morning is create a list of 3 to 5 things that you are going to do that day. These things can be as simple as I'm going to say my prayer. I'm going to have a quiet time when I come back from school. I am going to do my chores. I am going to do my homework, whatever it is. So these things become what your children think of on their own, even without you having to remind them. I'm going to journal at the end of the day. So most times when you see our children's, report at the end of the day, these are some of the kind of things, mainly things that you see on their reports at the end of the day. You can introduce these things right in your home with your children. I have a almost 17-year-old, and my daughter is 11 and she's still in the mastermind. My son is much older. But this skill that they learned, or these skills that were introduced early. I introduced to-do list to our son when he was only about 6. He has done a to-do list almost his entire life, right? For more than half of his life, right? So it's very easy for him to wake up in the morning and draft what it is that he needs to do for the day. Now, that keeps them focused and keeps them on the lane of their goal. This is how you teach children focus. This is how you teach children to prioritize. This is how you begin to program children from an early age to direct themselves and to own their journey. This is how you teach children self-leadership. So it's very important, as little as it may seem, as simple as it may be, this is a powerful foundation skill that every parent must teach their child. For your 4-year-old, it can be as simple as read a book. It can be as simple as pray, read a book, take my plates to the kitchen, play with my toys, clear my toys. It could be as simple as that. Now, what you have done is you're programming the child to know that there is a process to everything. So your child understands process, your child understands transitions, because now he knows that I have these 3 things or these 5 things that I have to do throughout the day. Okay. And so he knows it's easier for you to say to that kind of child that you're raising, okay, and you are being consistent with like this. It's easier for you to say to the child, okay, it's time to pack your toys now, because, or to just simply say it's time for the next activity. As this practice continues, you will hardly have a child like this throw a tantrum when it is time to move or transition to the next thing. Because what have you done? You have introduced this, and this has become a system in your home. The problem is consistency. So we see when parents argue a lot of the times, I was at a school the other day. I can't get over, that visit. I was at a school the other day, and I was telling the parents, in the school small gathering, and I was telling the parents how, I gave them a few examples of the things that I introduced with our children, right? So that because, we want them to get to the point where we don't have to be there for them to do these things, right? And I talked about how we had decided that we wanted the children to dress a certain way, right, when they go to church. That was our way of introducing them to the fact that, church was an important place. Okay, so we wanted them to have a sense of reverence when they go to church. We wanted them to prepare, or we want them to prepare to go to church, with a sense of reverence, with a sense of I'm a gentleman, I'm a lady, so that you don't get confused at some point in your life, struggling with whether I should wear this ripped or. We wanted to just teach them to keep it simple. And so, not because there was anything wrong with jeans, or because there's anything wrong with wearing trousers to church. My daughter wears trousers, I wear trousers, and all of that. But we just kept it simple, and we said for her, it's going to be all dresses, and things like that. It's going to be all dresses, dress, wrappers, all the when you get to that age. So we kept it that simple. Now, for our son, we said, okay, let's drop the jeans, let's drop the, and joggers, and all of that. Now, as I said, this isn't because there is anything wrong with your jeans. This isn't because there is anything wrong with your joggers. I mean, anybody can decide to wear joggers or whatever to church. But it was just a way, of pointing him to the fact that, we want to, reverence church and set it apart as a place where we come with a sense of gentility and whatever and all that. Now, we have done that since our son was about 6. And so he's almost 17 today. And whether I'm there or not, our son has a specific way. He's either wearing a kaftan or he's wearing a pair of chinos and shirts to church and all of that. In fact, he is in love with suits right now. So you will see him dressed in like a full, like in a 3-piece or that kind of thing. Now, why is he like that at 17? Because this was something that we introduced early and we pointed him to as early as possible. And we stayed in there consistently. Even our daughter that will argue about clothes, and all of that, she's never ever disputed, argued, or anything, about what to wear to church. So this is it. So it's consistency that is the problem. And why we need to do more about consistency is we need to understand that for any habit that you want your child to internalize, for anything that you want to see your child imbibe, you must grow it. You must develop it like a muscle. Think about when you go to the gym, you want those abs. They don't happen because you wish them. They don't happen because you go to the gym once in a while. They don't happen because you do, the kind of exercise that can allow that, once in a while. They only happen when you are faithful and you do these things consistently. So consistency is the word. And I promise you, dear parents, see this whole intentional parent journey. See, every time you take intentional parents out of anytime you take intentional parents out, just put consistency right there, because that's what intentional parenting is about. Intentional parenting is consistency. What are you doing to raise your child? What is it that you have learned that is the right thing to do? What is it that you have learned that is the effective thing to do? If you are not doing it consistently, it doesn't matter how much of it you know. It doesn't matter how many times you preach it to your friends and family. It doesn't matter how many times people tell you how great you are at parenting. If you are not consistent about it, sir, if you're not consistent about it, a time will come and your child will go south. The child will practically go south. Now, I'll give you an example of something that happened in our home, that just opened our eyes, to certain things, Now, our children, we've always lived far from our children's school, always lived far from school for some reason, and then recently we moved very close to school. Now, our children have always woken up early. I will wake them, daddy will wake them, and all of that, And what I didn't pay attention to was the fact that, every time maybe an alarm is dropped, somehow you will need to, I will need to go and nudge, sometimes eulogize them, especially for our son. Eulogize him, and all of that and all of that. I didn't pay attention to the pattern of how long it actually took him to get up and go on his own. That's been one area that he's struggled with for the longest. And so we moved closer to school, and it dawned on me after a while, I started noticing that, these are kids that used to leave the house at 6:40, 6:50 in the past to go to school, and they are in school at 7:10, 7:20. We moved 3 minutes or 5 minutes away from school, and it became a case of, we decided we're going to leave at 7:10. So we started with 7:10, gradually from 7:10, the students started going to school at 7:20. Then from nowhere, they started going to school at 7:30. And then I just realized in the last, I have been so busy recently. In the last week or so, it was a consistent 2 minutes to 8, 3 minutes to 8. So it dawned on me that it's possible that I have, we've tried to go to school early, and all of that. But what I did not make consistent, what I did not sit on, is their ability to get on this on their own and achieve it on their own without me or without anyone. So what I started to do is, the alarm goes off and I leave you there. The alarm goes off and I leave you there. Whenever you have the energy or whatever it is to pull yourself out of that bed, you do it. But you will live with the consequence. That's it. So yesterday, they didn't go to school. We came to work because my husband and I decided, and we told them about it. If you want to go to school early, if you want to go to school at all, then you would wake up, prepare for school, and be at school. But you will not go to school just anytime you like, simply because you can, or you live a few minutes away from school. You won't do that. Right. So if you want to go to school, then make up your mind you want to go to school, prepare for it, and be at school. If you don't go to school, it's all right. We will go to another school. Because all of it, you can go to school, get all the grades and get all the high grades and get whatever it is. If you cannot be disciplined, if you cannot build that consistency muscle, then you won't be disciplined. And if you are not disciplined, all of your grades and all of the mighty things that you can do are neither here nor there. Right? Meaning, when someone is not your motivation, you are unable to lead or to motivate them yourself. And so that's it. Then we came to work. We were here for about 3 hours, and then they decided they were going to write a commitment note. So my both children wrote a commitment note. They signed it. I sent a copy to daddy. I have my copy. And today, They didn't go to school at 7:10, but they left for school at about 7:20. They made the efforts. And of course, I told them, oh, today is a bonus. So you made the effort. We can see clearly that you made the efforts. Okay. So after today, if 7:30 doesn't work from tomorrow, we will have to look for, we will have to, that consequence will have to happen. It's as simple as that. So sometimes we get carried away by the little efforts, or we get carried away, sorry, not little effort. We get carried away by the fact that we have introduced something, but we don't realize the place of consistency in it. So that's why we will put in so much. That day we argue, some people were saying, oh, how my parents, raised me properly. My parents raised me well. My parents raised me well. But what we don't always remember, or we don't always think of, is our parents. Yes, they raised us well. They did all of these things. But a lot of times, it didn't move from them leading us to us leading ourselves. So for the longest, they had to lead us. And then some of us went to boarding schools where when we got to school, the system in the boarding school started to lead and direct you. So it was more like at every point in your life, it was some sort of duress. So when you come back home, you go back to point A, where you have to be told, you have to be woken up 10 times. But this is you in school, one bell and you are off. So the truth about it is, if we don't pay attention, we're not present enough to see our children begin to own this thing on their own, own this journey on their own, want it as much as they should, then we will raise children who will conform for the longest. And when we are not there, they will not replicate these things, or they will not carry on with these things, or they will not live by these things, because it was never internalized. Very key. Very key. All right. So now, I said planning is very important. It will help the children manage their task themselves. It will help them take ownership of their own schedules. It will help them take ownership. And even for your 3-year-old, they can do this. These are the list, and this is the list. And then you will realize that your 3-year-old will ask you, mommy, what's next? Or if you say, okay, it's time to turn off the TV. Okay, it's time to, transition from one thing to the other. You have just finished eating. It's time to take your plate to the kitchen. It's time to get the book out and we're reading. You're done playing with your toys. It's time to clean up. You see that before you know it, you're already programming your child. And then the child knows. When you are not there, you will see them get into this process on their own. So the child begins to own his journey, on his own. He also teaches them, right, that every great leader, he also teaches your child, right, that their schedule is a part of their life. So this is not just about mommy. This is also about you. All right. Number 2, chores. Number 2 is you must develop or help your child develop, right, doing chores as a part of their life. They must be consistent with chores. Let your child wake up in the morning, right? And that's the essence of chores, right? That your child wakes up in the morning with a sense of responsibility. When you don't give children, or you don't assign chores, specific chores to your child does not learn early to get up with a sense of responsibility. So that's why we have teenagers with no sense of responsibility. Because, of course, you've always had... Sorry about this. This network we're using today is not... Okay, so sorry about that. I had a bit of obstruction there. All right. So because our children, they don't wake up with a sense of responsibility, right? We have domestic staff, you have people who clean your house. We have people who drive we have people who do everything. And practically your child's entire life, let's say we're looking at your 20-year-old daughter, or 20-year-old son. And all through those 20 years of the child's life, there was always 1, 2, or more people, waiting on them, and of course on the entire family. So somewhere, if you're not intentional as a parent, that child will practically grow without a sense of responsibility. Like, the child doesn't think I'm responsible for any part or anything in that home. So it is you on your own, first of all, that teaches your child that they don't have a role in the family. So now you're wondering why your child is not kind to his sibling. You're wondering why your child cannot make a sacrifice and say, you know something, I'm going to, I'm not going to attend this thing. I'm not going to go to this, or I'm going to stay back and be with you when you're going through something or you need some support or something like that. So you hear parents, sometimes you hear parents say things like, oh, children are the most ungrateful group of people. But no, they are not. Children are not. When we raise our children without a sense of responsibility, when we raise our children to think that we are supermen and superwomen, and so we don't need them, they need us. They grow up needing you. So that's why your 30-year-old, 25, 26-year-old daughter keeps bragging every time, right? Because she lives in the same city with you, that she's never cooked this, she's never cooked. My mom brings it. You will serve them all their life, all your life. Because somewhere, somehow, the martyrdom in you tells you that your role as a parent is to take care of your child all the days of their lives. That's it. So, dear parents, if we're going to raise children who are responsible, if we're going to raise children who will see us in the future, if we're going to raise children who will be there for you as much as you are for them, then you will model it and you will give them a sense of responsibility. Let them know that there is a role for them. It actually gives a sense of worthiness. Your child feels like, I am worthy of something. Because all of these, a sense of self-worth, right, and self-sufficiency is going to be built at home by the things that your child, the competencies that your child builds right at home, and how you trust them to come through in those tasks and in those areas where they are competent. That's how your child builds confidence. That's your child begins to believe in their own ability. We're going to come to that soon. So very key. So chores will help your child develop a sense of responsibility and contribution. They feel like they have a role and they have a contributory, role in the family. So I say to my children, that is God's role. When we're younger, that is God's role. Mom is God's role. You have your role too. So I remember when our daughter turned 3, I think so, thereabout 2, 3, right? I turned off the hot water part of the dispenser, and then we started filling jugs into the fridge. We didn't need to do that, but I needed to create something that was age appropriate for her, just so that she understands that she's important. So sometimes I'll come into the fridge, I'll open, and I'm like, there's no water here. You see now, daddy has done what he has to do. Mommy does what she has to do, but Ada is not doing what she has to do. Just because of you, nobody can drink water. At least nobody can drink cold water. Like, you need to know that there is a gap that you are creating by not showing up in the area where you're responsible. So it's easy for me to say to my daughter just before she turned 11, about 2 weeks last week, that, oh, nee, you are in charge of the kitchen now. That's what I did. I took the responsibility of wash all those, doing the dishes, clearing up after I have cooked, after we've cooked, and all of that. I took it from my son. My son has been doing it since he was 10. He's almost 17. So I took it, but I could take it from him, and she could just turn and say, okay, mommy, because she has been groomed and she's done this consistently. We had grandma around in March. I go to work, I come back from work at 5 o'clock. The kids come back from school at 2, 3, they're dropped off at home, most of the time by my friends or, something like that. And my daughter will get in. There were days that she got in before her. So she gets in, and then she changes, comes to the kitchen to make lunch for herself, knocks on her grandma's door and say to grandma, I'm making lunch. Have you had lunch? Would you want me to make something? At that time, she was 10. She was 10. She's probably not going to make the best meals in the world, but she is confident enough in her ability, and she feels she can make food that another human being, her grandma, would eat. She's not afraid that when I make you something, you will spit it out. And yes, she made meals for grandma sometimes when grandma had not had lunch. So very key. So it wasn't every day that I had to make breakfast, make lunch for grandma. I just make breakfast and I go to work. And I know when the kids come, they will fix grandma. So that is it. Do these things, dear parents, and save yourself the wahala. The energy is plenty. Abi, your own is plenty. My own is not plenty like that. But the truth about it, when we raise children who are skilled, we are the first beneficiary of our children's competencies and the skills that they build. Very important. Number three, you need to teach your children to love the presence of God and to study the word of God for themselves. That's a skill that they need to learn and they need to do consistently. Have you been watching the internet space in the last few days or week since people started graduating or WIEC? I mean, people start finishing IGCSE and WIEC. Have you seen the kind of madness that is going on in the internet space? What our girls are doing, what our young boys. Have you looked at those children who are grabbing each other? Have you looked at those children? 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. What do you think are the kind of convictions that those children carry? Why do you think a girl will sit down with boys grabbing her breasts and she is there posing for a picture? Like, knowing that, you will be shocked that these same people are the ones posting those pictures. They are on TikTok now. So when they finish, they get on TikTok and everything is worthy of being online. They work like that. So they finish secondary school, they have arrived. The future is bright and is clear. So now it's time to do as you like. Some people want to argue and say, oh, you can take them with you. You will go to church, you take them to our and it's the consistency that is the problem. It's the effectivity and the consistency in all of it. You can drag your children with you from Sunday school to midweek service to home cell to church to catechism. You can drag them everywhere. If you're not constantly building or helping them build a relationship with God where they can study the word of God on their own, understand the word of God, understand where you can talk about perspective and you can review and you can study the word together, you will be raising children who are religious without having a relationship with God. So that's why they will go out and they will live a life that reflects nothing of a child of God. And they don't feel it's anything. In fact, that's why they will worship God by their own terms. Because that's what we see these days, even from us as parents. We worship God by our own terms. We dress as we like and we give credit. We do as we like. It's our terms. As I feel, you can't tell me how to worship God. It's between me and God. It's from the heart. But I thought there's supposed to be an example. We're supposed to be a reflection of who God is. And we're supposed to be ambassadors and we're supposed to reflect God. I should see you and see God. I thought that's what it was supposed to be. So if we don't start doing this, we would lose the avenue to pass our convictions, our value system, because it is in those times that you sit together, study the word of God, go through the word of God. It's in that time that you have those conversations that you're able to pass your convictions to your children, that you're able to talk about what is your standard as a family. What time would you have to pass your family values to your children? What time when you bring your children close to God and you study the word together, it creates a natural avenue for you to talk about morally sound things, for you to talk about your beliefs as a family, your values as a family. This is how you pass your convictions to your children. But when we don't create these opportunities, when we don't have this, we just go to church, we come back, everybody goes their way. You take them to school, they come back. How they are building their spiritual appetite is not our business. You are doing your own. In fact, we even hear parents that say, I like to pray alone. So who is going to lead your children to God? Who is going to lead them to God? Or is it the ones that, okay, for the record, mommy is the prayer warrior, daddy does not? Those of us, we know, you know what I'm talking about. especially this one is found out, especially amongst Orthodox, Catholics, a lot of people from, let's not even go into this issue. I'm Catholic, so I know what I'm talking about. So we get to the point where it's all about, it's a mommy's thing. But where are our children? Where are our children going to see a reflection of God? Who are they going to learn, about God from if we don't start doing these things in our home? So if parents don't get involved, if fathers don't take the lead and take the front stage, these things are so important. It's how well we show up. It's how well the fathers show up and are consistent. It's how well the mothers show up and are consistent. It's how well we show up as a family and we prioritize God and understanding His word. No wonder the scripture said in Exodus that we should teach these things to our children. Teach it to them when we wake up in the morning. Teach it to them when we walk on the street. Teach it to them when you lie down. Teach the word and teach it to God, to the children at all times. So it's not a one-off thing. It's a consistent thing. Very key. Very key. Then number 4, you must help your children build their consistency muscles when it comes to studying for knowledge and researching for knowledge. The world that we are in right now is a world that, as I said before, right, your talents, your skills, and the leverages that you have from your parents will open doors for you. But what will keep you in that room? What will keep you on the tables where policies are made, on the tables where the powerful decisions are made, on the table where real issues are discussed, on the table where solutions are created? Is what you have here. That's what it is. So a child who knows how to study, a child who doesn't just study to pass exams, a child who knows how to study, how to research, how to find out facts, is the one that is not constantly saying, my nanny said, my teacher said, my friend said. There are those kind of children, right? So as a teacher, I hear a lot of that, right? Especially in those years that I was in the classroom. You see the child doing a particular thing or saying a particular thing. You know the way they carry, gutter gossips, or these things that happen online. You see a child sit with 3, 4, 5 classmates around them, and he is telling a story or passing, an information with audacity. Some of these things that you see happen online, right? Because the people we leave our children with tell these stories that they hear from, one blog to the next blog to the next, to one blogger to another blogger to the next blogger. So before you know it, they download these things and your children consume all of it. And these things begin to form your child's mindset. I remember when our son started the YouTube, our son used to teach science on YouTube, right? So he started teaching science on YouTube when he was 8. I think he stopped doing that when he was about 10 or 11, thereabouts. His mentor had encouraged him. He wanted to impact the world with something. And at that time, the only thing he could use to impact the world was to teach other people science because he loved science. So he started teaching science on YouTube. So we will create models, and all of that. We did a lot of great things, circulatory system, all of those systems and all of that. So one of those times, the principal of his school had seen one of the videos, and then she was at the assembly, and she was really impressed, and she was like, well done. She told the kids, that Kamsia started a science channel. You should go and watch the science videos. You might see a topic. She just talked about it at the assembly and all of that, and some of his classmates started telling him, oh, I saw you, I follow you. He didn't even know what he meant to follow or not follow. He just knew that. He sat down and we were in the kitchen or in the living room, or he sits down and I just take my BlackBerry phone at that time and he teaches me what he learned in school that day. Or we probably have created a model of one system, or we did a lot of things. We did ocean, we did landfalls, we would do systems and all of that. So we finished with one of those styrofoam models that we're creating, and he just makes a video with it and teaches. And that's all our son knew. He has finished teaching the video, he has left. YouTube, he didn't even understand what he didn't understand those things. So I do the uploading, and all of that. But his friends were online. His classmates, his 8-year-old classmates at the time, would not come and say, "Oh, you have 20 followers." He didn't know anything like that. "Oh, I followed you today." Well, he just comes and says, "This person said he followed me today." And then what would one child come back to say to him? This child was even younger than him. He now comes and he says to him that, that thing that you're doing, people are going to come and kill you. That's what he said to him. He said, "Oh, you are doing, something, you are teaching it on you, you are saying you're on YouTube because you think you know something. That until people come and kill you." Where do you think that was coming from? No, where do you think that was coming from? That's a child that has sat down probably with some parents whose parenting is driven by fear, or some twisted human beings, and the only thing that he probably went to his mom and said, "Oh, let me watch this," and all of that. So he watches it, and the only thing that could come out of that parent's mouth is that, "Oh, this is very bad. People are going to destroy this person because he is using his voice to solve a problem or impact people." Meanwhile, these are the same people that the child will do party, birthday, and the birthday is elaborate, and they will post it everywhere. We did not post birthday. We don't post things like that. We did not post anything that was elaborate to show how much we have or we don't have. It's just circulatory system is this and that. And do you understand? So these are the issues. Mindset. So when your children do challenges like that, it will change their mindset. When they research, it begins to change their mindset. They understand the place of knowledge. They understand the place of information, and they understand what to do with it. That child is in his school today, and oh my goodness, I don't even want to tell you. That same child is in his school today. He had left and he came back to the school. He is a drum and a half. That child that was advising somebody not to go, he's a drum and half. Like when it comes to how they handle it, as in he's just a lot. He's a handful. So these are the issues. When we raise children with fear, we raise them with the right mindset and all of that. Don't worry. A few years later, you will see the result of some of these things that we pump into children, or the things that we don't do with these children, just because we couldn't be consistent. All right, the final one that I'm going to be sharing today, I'm sharing 5 with you, is you have to build the habit of reading. Reading cannot be overemphasized. Reading will not only help your children build a habit that is a lifelong habit, a lifelong love for learning, a life skill that your child would use at every single phase and every single point in their lives. If you help your child cultivate a love for reading today, it means that when your child goes to school, your child is not going to struggle with doing well in the academics. As a matter of fact, children who you help to cultivate a love for reading, and they internalize the love for reading, what happens is their grades in school becomes an offshoot of a skill that you have developed. So when your children understand, or when your children love to read, and your children read because they enjoy it, they read for leisure, not because they want to pass exams. I tell you, academic excellence is just the fruit of the skill that you have built. And reading is one of those skills that you build that will become, that will become a fruit, or other things will become a fruit of. Do you know by introducing or helping your child cultivate a love for reading, you can actually help that child become disciplined? Yes, you can actually help the child become disciplined. Do you know through a skill like reading, you can train your child's ears for instructions? Mhm. Do you know that through reading, you can raise a child that can speak up, use their voice, share their perspective, analyze situation? Yes, what do you think the book reviews that we do are for? So when the children in the mastermind circle read books, and at the end of the month, like this Saturday, Sunday, we're going to be having a book review. What we do in those review, we get each of them to speak, share their perspective on the book that they are reading. What are we doing? We are training their voice to share their perspective wherever they find themselves, because your voice is powerful. If you want to destroy a person, silence them. And it's not in the pitch of the tone, as we say to the children. It's not in your, how high your pitch is, because you can actually be someone who is a speech, impaired, and you still have a voice. You can be speech impaired and you still have a voice. You still have a way of carrying your beliefs. You still have a way of carrying your message. You still have a way of championing your cause. You still have a way of living your purpose. Every time you live your purpose, that is you using your voice. It's not in the pitch. It's not in how husky it is. It is in you knowing that your opinion, that your perspective, that your thoughts is as important as any other person's in any room, on any table, or wherever you find yourself. That's your voice. That's your voice. So through reading, you give your child access to using their voice, because when a child reads, their mind opens up. When a child reads, their imagination broadens. When a child reads, creativity is awoken. Reading is a life skill. Don't ever joke. If you don't have a child who loves books, you are the problem. Because that's one place where your inconsistency as a parent shows louder than anywhere else. That's one place. If you introduce books early and you stay on that skill, the child will love to read. There's no other way. I say it, I quote me anywhere. You introduce books early and you stay consistent. No way. Your child will internalize and imbibe reading as a skill. When I hear people say, oh, my children are always tearing books, that's what are you talking about? None of my children, and I'm not yapping here. For people who people who have trauma responses to everything. When you tell a story for context, or you tell a story to share an example, some people get it and they say you are bragging. It's not about bragging. What's there to brag about the fact that a child is not here, is tearing the book? If the child tears the book, you buy another one. But my children don't tear books, not even when they were toddlers. Why? Because from day one, books were a part of your life. It's the same way you see a child who grew up with a dog in the home. Children like that are not scared of dogs. The child was born, and when the child was born, your little dog was already there. We see pictures of, especially our born Caucasians. You see a white guy and you see him with the dog when he was 1 month old, and then you see him with the dog at 18, 20 or thereabouts. That's it. So when your children are raised, as in you give birth to your child, the child comes home and there's a dog right there watching over him, you will know that's not the child that is ever going to be scared of dogs. But come to our home, those of us who have never had dogs, and you see a dog just barks a little, and your child is running away, is freaking out because no, he's never lived with a dog. It's the same thing. So you introduce books, and books are a part of your child's life. They will love books. Books will be a part of them. And I promise you, you would distinguish straight up a child who reads from a child who doesn't. In their conversations, in the way they talk, in the things in the perspective that they have, in their ability to comprehend, and of course, in the essays that they write. In the essays that they write. That's it. So these things are not far-fetched, their parents. So it is what it is. So this year, we decided to go into, or I decided to go into writing books. Shout out to my coach. Okay. And my community that dragged me, like Coach Randy, they dragged me like, we need this gap filled. We need this gap filled. So we started writing books for 0 to 3 year olds, right? Now, I have always, I share this all the time, how our son's first book, when I gave birth to our son, I bought his first book when I was 6 months old. I wasn't even that intentional of a parent at the time. But I had read and I knew that, children can hear you right from when they are that little, and they could hear me, the child could hear me already, right? And then, of course, I loved reading books, right? So for me, I learned to read books. Yes, my father would buy books for me on his way back from work. But I learned to turn back to books. In my teenage years, I had gone through a phase in my teenage years where I was away from home, and all of that. And so books were my solace. They were the things that I turned to, in those times that loneliness was a part of my life. At some point I was misunderstood, and all of that. So that's what I'm saying. It was something to turn to in those times of my life. So that's how I cultivated, or I went back to a culture of reading books, right? Now, so by the time my children were coming, I knew I was going to, get them to read books and all that. So they've always had books around them. Always, always, always had books around them, right? So we decided to create books for this group of children. So I've created some of the most beautiful books. So I got insight into the finished copy of the book, and I was just looking at it yesterday. I was like, oh my goodness, we did this, like while I was reading through it. So, dear parents, you have 0 to 3 year olds. We have created books that your children can relate to. African stories. Yes, I tell African stories. Stories of the things that happen around you. You will not hear the child, grabbing snow, and just tell stories from the African perspective. So even for you, a parent in diaspora, give your children, you don't want to lose your sense of identity. So literature is a way of bringing a sense of identity right in your child's face. So as much as your children are in diaspora, you still want to preserve their identity. And Nigeria is bad doesn't mean that you can peel it off. You can never peel it off. It's part of our origin. And a sense of identity is what makes you whole as a parent, as a person, right? So yes, you may have learned all kinds of new ways and all of that, but your sense of identity is very key. Okay, that's a conversation for another day. So let your children, have that perspective. Let them, and there's really nothing wrong with having views, from different part of, we stay here and you want to learn about the Chinese, you want to learn about what their life is about, right? And why not for a child from African origin? So yes, if you have children 0 to 3, I got the perfect book for you. Okay, and the good news is you can get that book, that series, 3 of them in the series, and my other new books, right? 10 in one whole bundle that we have. You can get all of them at a whooping 40% discount on the 29th, next Monday. On the 29th of June, for 1 hour, for 24 hours, one day, we're going to be doing a flash sale where you can get our books at a 40% discount. So if you want to be a part of that flash sale, that you should want to, you need to check in the comment section, right? And you will see a link. Click that link and join the wait list. Why are you on the wait list? Because all the information, and everything that you need will be on that wait list. We will share them in other places, but you might miss them. But in the wait list, you will get everything that you need. So get on that wait list. After the flash sale, you can leave the wait list. But for now, get in there, right, so that you can be a part of this 40% discount. If you pay us more later, we know they fear money, but why pay more when you can pay less? Because the truth is, you will buy these books later. if you're really interested in your children reading, except you are the kind of parents that you don't want to, and your children, all these things we're saying about book, you don't even believe it. Okay, it's okay. It's okay if you don't believe it. But dear parents, your children need books. Your children need to learn to read. Your children need to cultivate a love for reading. This is why we also run our summer fun activity book challenge. It's a book challenge that I run for children for 30 whole days. If I tell you the hundreds of children that are cultivated a love for reading by just being a part of that challenge. Year in, year out. It's for children from 0 to 10. We say 0 to 10. Well, 1 year to 10 year old, but you can read to your 6 months old baby. So you can be a part of the challenge. And yes, that challenge happens from the 1st of August to the 30th. But you can join the challenge straight up. You can register for the challenge. I think we will have the flyer for the challenge out later today or tomorrow. So you can go ahead and register to be a part of the challenge. It is usually very affordable because it is my way of dragging as many parents to focus on this skill during the summer holiday. To tell you, I mean, I am big. It's my biggest thing. Two of my biggest things in everything that I do, my entire purpose and all that I do, two things that are important to me: that children cultivate a love for reading as early as possible, number one. And two, that children are led to see that God has created them for a purpose and that they have superpowers within them. That's what we call it. We tell the children it's a superpower. And it's your job to discover your superpower and begin to live it out and use it to be a blessing to the world. So I am big on children finding the purpose for which they are in this life, because they can start living in that purpose today that they are 4 years old, 5 years old. So the children that I mentor, all right, I tell them every day we wake up and we live in our purpose every day. So today, my children have activities that they are doing that for them is living out the purpose for which God has kept them alive for today. You have a purpose for this day. So who says a purpose is hanging somewhere? That's why we will raise children at 25, 30, even some of us adults at 40. We are looking for what God created us for. We're looking for our purpose. It's because there is no sense of direction. So we're here to support you. So I say that I am a children's coach, but my biggest thing is to partner with you, parents, to help your children build a solid foundation. So I work with children between 0 and 10. And then when they turn, or just when they're about to turn 11, I suggest or allow them go to go to other programs and other coaches. Now the child has a solid foundational base, basically, and the child is able to throttle. So I say all the time, are you looking for where your child would be seen, heard, and your child can build solid foundational skills, habits, and where accountability is close? Then bring them to the mastermind circle. The mastermind circle is a starting point for any parent who truly wants to raise children who would be supported and who will be, that accountability can be close and real. That's it. Because at this stage, that's what the children need. They need accountability. They need consistency. So whatever would create consistency, whatever will promote consistency, then this is the time to get your children in that space. Because the moment they internalize these things, the moment these things become a part of them, the moment these things become programmed in and becomes default, then the child is ready to self-lead themselves. So at that point, their ears have been trained for instructions already. So it's easy for them to run with instructions. Children who start in the mastermind, children who start early, you don't have all this struggle that you have with them. And you say you can't wear this, they fight. They can't do this, they fight. Our children don't fight. Our children don't struggle. These things, we don't struggle with some of the things. Not because we're better parents, but because we understood when to key into certain things. I was telling the children in the mastermind today, we're talking about, gadgets and what is acceptable there, to have those conversations with their parents. Then I told them, my son is almost 17. He's never asked me for a phone because there is no need for that conversation. We finished that conversation a long time ago, since he was 6. So these are the things. So right now, there are certain things that parents deal with that I don't deal with. I don't have to seize any phone because you were rude, because you didn't. I don't. There are things that there are battles that we don't fight. By the time they are ready, they would understand what they should do, what they shouldn't do, where they should be, and all of that. All right. So yes, you want to be a part of the flash sale. Use the link in the comment section or in the comment section on YouTube or on Facebook and get into that flash sale wait list immediately. And yes, the mastermind circle, we are registering already for the mastermind circle 2026-27 cohort because the circle begins in September. So we start a new cohort in September, just the way your children are starting school. So we start a new milestone with them. Okay, it's a foundation school. It's a full school. They get feedback, they get reports, you get feedback, you get updates. The children get streaks. We do all of these things in the mastermind because we can. All right. So if you like to be a part of the mastermind, you also have that information in the comment section after this class, and you can use it to book a slot. You can book a slot right now with 20,000 to get your child that slot, okay? And then between now and September, you can pay off until you finish. The total fee for the mastermind circle is only 100,000. Only 100,000. That means you're paying less than 10,000. In fact, you're paying about 8,000 naira a month for us to give your child 360 days accountability follow-up. And we do one-on-one sessions with the mastermind when the child needs to come to my situation room or when you need them to, be with me. So it's such a family and such a great place to be. Thank you very much for joining me. This is where I am going to stop today. It's exactly 1 hour. Apart from the books that we are launching, we have some of our old books that, I have 12 books already, all children's books. So you can also grab that. We are on Seller. You can also shop from our WhatsApp catalog. And also on Amazon. You can get our books on Amazon if you are in the diaspora. All right. So this one, Amazing, is one of our Skill Up series, Destined for Greatness. We tell amazing stories wrapped with great lessons in all of my books. So Destined for Greatness is for your children 7 to 12. Great book about African leaders that can inspire your children to know that no, you don't. I mean, you can be from Africa and be great, and the world will recognize you as well. So we have examples of people like that right here. This one is another one, The Enemy Who Stole My Time and How I Can Get It Back. Also for your 7 to 12-year-olds, right? Amazing book. Then we have The Young and Money Smarts. Okay, we're raising children who would have the right abundance mindset. So this is also for your 7 to 12-year-olds. Then we have the Unlocking Excellence, where children are learning that they can be excellent in every aspect of their lives. At school, at home, in the playground, everywhere you find yourself. Amazing. Then we have the little books, the books for the little ones. These are story books, right? You can read it to your toddlers, right? To your little children all the way to age 6. Children older than that can chill and have a good time just reading African stories, right? African stories like Mira the Courageous Bird. So that's it. We also have Far Away from Home. Okay, so it's another African tales, right? And then we have Wisdom Stories for Champions. This one is also for your 7 to 12-year-olds. Okay, then we have the Who Am I Becoming? All about identity. Who is that child becoming? 7 to 12-year-olds. Then we have Adama Script to Grandmas. This one is a typical African story. You see, like those Tales by Moonlight. Right? Then we have Playtime Stories for Champions. This one is packed with activities that your children can do on their own or with you at home. Then we have my first book, our biggest bestseller, Bedtime Stories for Champions. It's a collection of young people doing doing amazing things from all around the world. Then we have Christmas Stories for Champions. It's not a Christmas book. Oh. This book is about what Christmas was like for us growing up from Ibadan to from Kaduna to Lagos, what Christmas was like for the average child in this different part of Nigeria. Such a beautiful book. See it. This part of the book was talking about a girl who had Muslim neighbors and they had to celebrate Christmas together because they celebrate, all of that. So amazing book. So beautiful books we have for you. And then we have our famous journal for your children to journal all through the year. So you can get any one of these books or as many of our books as possible. As I said, you can reach out to us. We have distributors all around the country. We have distributors in Canada, in the US, in Ghana, in Ghana, we have some books in Australia. We have distributor in the UK. We have distributors in a distributor in Scotland, and we have one in London. So yes, you can get. Of course, we have in about 2 distributors in Canada. So you can get all these books. And if you're in Nigeria, we have distributors in major cities, and we can ship to you if it comes to that. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you have learned and there's something that you're going to take away from this class. Okay, remember that building these skills are important because your child becomes disciplined. The child will learn mastery if you're consistent. They will learn mastery in the skills that they have and the things they are competent in. They will be disciplined. They will become more confident people. And then, of course, the power of compounding momentum will happen as they do these things gradually every day. Okay, and then of course they will build emotional resilience. Thank you again for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of the day and a great weekend ahead. And remember to join the lists so that you'll be a part of the flash sale. Thank you again. Have a blessed day. Bye.